It's the ritual millions of us can't live without. That first warm sip of coffee that clears the morning fog and gets us ready for the day. But if you're over the age of 50, 60, or 70, you may have heard a worrying whisper in the doctor's office or read a frightening headline online. Coffee is leaching the calcium right out of your bones. Or every cup you drink is making your skeleton more fragile. For seniors, where bone density is already a critical concern, these claims can feel like a direct threat to our independence because we know that a single fall can change everything. So, is your favorite morning habit secretly setting you up for a fracture? Or is this just another piece of junk science designed to scare us? Today, we're going deep into the latest clinical research and the biological mechanics of caffeine to find the truth, because it's much more nuanced than a simple yes or no. Welcome back to Midlife Advice. To understand the concern, we have to look at how caffeine interacts with our minerals. There were two main reasons why experts originally started worrying about coffee and osteoporosis. First, caffeine is a mild diuretic, meaning it increases the frequency of urination, and decades ago, researchers noticed that people excreted slightly more calcium in their urine after consuming high amounts of caffeine. The fear was that if you're losing calcium every time you go to the bathroom, your body might start robbing that calcium from your bones to keep your blood levels stable. Second, some studies suggested that caffeine might slightly interfere with how our intestines absorb calcium from the food we eat, which sounds like a recipe for disaster for a senior whose body is already less efficient at absorbing nutrients. But here is where the scare meets the reality when we look at the actual numbers. Research shows that one standard 8-ounce cup of coffee causes a loss of only about 2 to 3 milligrams of calcium. To put that in perspective, a single tablespoon of milk contains about 20 milligrams of calcium, meaning the theft is incredibly small and easily compensated for in a healthy adult with a balanced diet. However, as we age, our buffer for error gets smaller because our bone remodeling process, where the body breaks down old bone and builds new bone, slows down. This is why we need to be more strategic than we were in our 30s, especially since bone density is your ticket to mobility and freedom. After the age of 50, bone loss can accelerate due to hormonal changes like the drop in estrogen, and the answer to whether coffee is dangerous lies in your total lifestyle. A landmark study followed thousands of participants and found that for those with sufficient intake of calcium, vitamin D, and K2, even high coffee consumption had zero measurable impact on bone density or fracture risk. The problem only appeared in people who drank lots of coffee and had a very low calcium intake. In other words, coffee wasn't the villain, it was just the last straw for an already malnourished system. Let's clear up some common myths, starting with the idea that decaf is safe while regular is dangerous. While decaf has less caffeine, the difference in calcium loss is so negligible that switching isn't necessary unless you were sensitive to the stimulant itself. Another myth is that you must stop drinking coffee if you have osteopenia. Most specialists agree you don't need to quit, you just need to balance the ledger by ensuring you're putting 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium back in through your diet. Also, don't worry about the roast level. While light roasts actually contain slightly more caffeine than dark roasts, the difference is too small to impact your skeleton. To keep your morning joy while keeping your bones like steel, follow these 4 golden rules. Rule 1 is the Neutralizer Strategy. By adding just 2 tablespoons of milk or a fortified plant-based milk to your 8-ounce mug, you provide about 40 milligrams of calcium, which effectively neutralizes the caffeine's impact 10 times over. Rule 2 is moderation. Keep it to 3 8-ounce cups or less per day, because risks only climb when you become a heavy drinker. Rule 3 is timing your supplements. If you take a calcium supplement, wait at least an hour after your coffee because caffeine and tannins can interfere with absorption. Finally, Rule 4 is to hydrate with purpose by drinking a glass of water for every cup of coffee to help your kidneys process minerals efficiently. Remember, calcium is the brick, but vitamin D and K2 are the mortar that actually keeps it in your bones. Before you think about quitting, consider that coffee is one of the largest sources of antioxidants and has been linked to a lower risk of type 2 diabetes and Parkinson's. If coffee gets you out the door for a daily walk or light lifting, that activity tells your body to keep those bones strong, helping you indirectly. So, is coffee destroying your bone density? For the vast majority of seniors who get enough nutrients, the answer is a resounding no. Don't let the headlines scare you into giving up something that brings you joy. Your bones need nourishment and movement more than they need you to quit coffee. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit the like button to help us reach more people. And tell me in the comments, how do you take your coffee? I'm your host from Midlife Advice. Stay healthy, stay informed, and enjoy that next cup. I'll see you in the next video.